Good evening, all. Ira Epstein of Linn Associates with your financial market wrap-up for this Tuesday, the 10th of August, 2021, getting on to 5:40 p.m. Central Time. Well, an interesting and fun, for me it was fun day. A lot of trading going on in the stock indices, and it was a good time for my clients, let's put it that way. Now, in looking at the market, we're pretty much unchanged to lower tonight, but that's not a surprise. You had a nice thrust to the upside today, and you're getting a rollover again in the NASDAQ to the downside. You're holding in the Dow and the S&P, and a bit weak still in the Russell. The gold market and the silver market having great difficulty today. They're trying to have a move back into their Bollinger Bands. They've been out of them now since the huge two-day break. Same with the copper. It's now wondering, what are you doing? You know, you could say to yourself, gee, shouldn't copper be a lot higher than this? We just passed a big infrastructure bill. Well, let me tell you what we passed. We passed a Senate version of an infrastructure bill that now has to wait on the House to decide what to do with it. They can put amendments on it. They can make changes. All that happened today, and it was a good thing, that we saw some bipartisan movement and we got passage of an infrastructure bill. They'll work on it the next time that it's in the House, then it'll come back to the Senate. I doubt it'll stay in its current form. That's not a positive or negative. It's just, I think it's going to be adjusted. Then they're dealing right away on the U.S. budget. And of course, there's the $3.5 trillion second level of the infrastructure plan that President Biden, that's his baby. So first thing they got to do is now everybody goes for what's called the vote-a-rama. And that is where each of the senators can bring up, there's 100 of them. By the way, one didn't vote today. I'm not certain what's going on there. There were 99 votes today, not including who is not a senator, Kamala Harris. And I'm looking at what's going on, and you know, if each one wants to bring up an amendment, maybe they can bring up more than one each one. I don't know what the rules are. Well, each one's got to be voted on. Wow, this could be days, a couple of days yet, where they finish getting all that in. And why is it important? Because it's called quote-unquote pork. These are where the senators get to say, hey, John in ABC state, look at what I did. We're going to get this road coming through here. We're going to have money for new riverways, blah, blah, blah. That's what goes on. Doesn't mean it happens. It just means they get to use it, and they get the clips that they can use, obviously, in their re-election campaigns. But you've got bonds and notes still sinking back. You're at 134 in this rate, so rates are going up, sinking back being the futures markets. You have the energy markets fairly stable right here. The EIA came out and shows that they still believe that demand is going to exceed supply. As we go forward for the next year or two. They always revise what they're doing. This is a monthly report. I cover it in detail in tonight's market letter for my paid subscribers. Bitcoin, the bulls are out, and they're already talking, because the market's near 50,000, that it's on its way to 100,000. It reminds me, every time it comes up and they get nutty like that, the market just kills them on the way the other way. If we take a look at the S&P 500 index, it is off of last week's record close by 0.3%. Not very much, right? So that's what you're looking at. It's down 1.25, which is basically unchanged. We take a look at the chart. You can see the action. Volatility has been coming out of the market up here, and I'm watching momentum. I don't want that to come out. The trend is clearly up, higher lows and higher highs. The market's got a classic bull pattern where the 18-day is over the 100, the 100's over the 200, and the market, each time it has challenged these averages, has snapped back, and what has it done? It continues to make new highs each time. Eventually that pattern will end. I hope I'm alive when it does. But it's been 10 years where these patterns have held up really well. You get your every now and then big break in them. Expect that at any time. That's how those things evolve. But now that we're going to be soon coming out of the summer, they're not as easy to come by. It's one thing when you get traders' attention turned away, but come September, whether you believe it or not, whether people are in offices or not, it's game on. As I look at the market, it's higher lows, higher highs, resistance, 44.79, the upper Bollinger Band. Until the red line closes under 79, I say that the market on breaks continues to get bought. In the NASDAQ, big problem. Take a look at the close today, under 80, and tonight it's not making that back. So I think you're going to see tonight liquidation in the NASDAQ. If I'm wrong, you have to close this red line back into the 80s. It's that simple. Then the traders might put the positions back on. But I think that liquidation right now, right here. In the Dow, the market got its bid today, as you can see nicely, and I think this is off rotation out of some of those NASDAQ stocks, back into the Dow. Nucor, did you watch Nucor today? It's up 12%. I mean, it's one of the leaders that is moving the market. When you take a look at the Russell, still a weak. This is the weak sister of it all. It's overbought. It's having immense problems between the 100-day average and the upper Bollinger Band. If you go to the VIX cash, you have a pattern of lower highs, lower lows. I happen to think that if you get down into 1542, I think you're going to see put writers step up to the table, looking to get in there and hope to get a rally back to now it would be the 100-day average, since it's right in front of the 18-day. Is the market embedding? Well, that's the question. Both numbers today were under 20. They were under 20 the day before, but not the day before. Do you often embed to the downside? No. So the problem here is that's telling me you might be ready to rally. If you rally there, what happens in the stock indices? You often break. 30-year bond. Did you take my enhanced Bollinger Band course? If you did, here's your first challenge of the lower Bollinger Band. I'm not saying another word. Take the course and figure out what I'd be saying to do. 10-year notes, what would I be saying to do? Dollar index, as I said yesterday, I think the market's going to try. I don't know if it'll make it to the upper Bollinger Band. There's some resistance points right here in this market with window envelopes, and it's overbought. But I am looking for a failure against that number where the market stalls out. Now, that doesn't mean it's going into a bear trend. I'm looking for the end of this leg right now to the upside. I think it's a big resistance point. Flip-flop it for the eurocurrency, but what a great time to go to Europe. Problem is you can't go anywhere with the COVID as bad as it is. It's like I want to go to Australia. You realize they're not letting foreigners in. I mean, this is how bad COVID is. Are you looking at Florida, Texas? What is going on? I mean, America's in the thralls of this. We just don't hear about it all the time, and it's bad that we don't. In the British pound, you have fallen back to the 18-day average of closes. I would be looking for support right there. The market is not in a trend. It's trending in the sense of the swing line, but the bias is up and momentum is down. Even if the market falls and closes under the 18-day average, to get short here, you'd have to have, at least the way I teach charting, stops in the 139.60 area. Too much dollar risk. In Bitcoin, I am looking for the resistance. As I said yesterday, I'm telling it, you're right now. The 100-day average and the upper Bollinger Band are often a huge resistance point. And I know so many people want me to be wrong on it. That's okay. You have the embedded reading, which is bullish. No question that I see that. I'm not talking out of both sides. Do I expect the market to be bought on these breaks? If it does break, yes, until the red line closes under 79. So, I follow what I teach, but that doesn't mean that I don't see resistance at that point. Then we get to the difference between Brent and WTI oil, and you can see how the market's coming up. I just watched an interview, could not have been 10 minutes ago, with Jim Cramer, with the president of Pioneer, and talking about their costs. They're the most successful now of the oil drillers in the Permian Basin. Their cost per barrel out of the ground, $29. Wow. They're returning $30 a barrel to investors. They think they can do this for $18 billion over the next years to come. So they're obviously looking at oil, probably thinking, okay, an average price no worse than $50, $60. What can they do? That's what I think they're looking at their worst case. And if the economies of the world get out of COVID, maybe we're back to $100. We'll see what goes on. You know, eventually all these people are going to drill again, but I think the lesson's been learned by the big boys in oil. They're not going to take their balance sheets into the red the way they did before in the go-go years. It's going to be much more subdued. They're running a business now. We were just talking about what happened in Bitcoin, right? Here's the flip-flop. You went to the 100-day average in Brent and the lower Bollinger Band. The trend is down, and I'm sure I was saying that's where I think the boys are going to come out, the pros. Now, the difference is, and there is a difference, you never did embed. The embedding gives the edge on the Bitcoin for the support. Same thing happened in WTI. So we're getting a bear market bounce, but no more than that yet. Take out the high here and take out in the Brent that high. Well, then at least you negate the downtrend, but I don't see anything here that turns the trend up just at this point in time. Gasoline, you now have negated the momentum in a sense, or the bias, I should say. Momentum is still down. The bias, because you're over the 18-day average. You have the swing line down. The bias is now to the upside and momentum down. Market's fighting a battle at the 18-day average. If you throw out this one-day chart, how many days have you been hitting just that 18 days? You see what I'm getting at? Always look beyond it. Learn to look at a chart and dig into it, and that's what I try to do. And that's what we do with the Linn Group. You know, I don't know if you realize what we send out during a day. We send out charts. We send out price counts, be it on the metal markets, the financial markets, the gold market, where we think energies are going. Think of price count charts of what we send out to people as Fibonacci numbers with a swing line on steroids. It's very interesting what it does. Then our special analysis of all the major market reports as they come out, both oral and written. Yeah, in our charting software, you can actually listen to everything that our staff is doing. And they'll talk to you during it. If you miss it, you just go into the charting software and ask it to play. It can't be any simpler than that. I mean, it is simple. So if you haven't tried what we offer as a brokerage firm, compare it against what you're getting for free. Just call my staff or go to our website under free offer. Take advantage of it. The word is free. You're going to get 2 weeks of it. You're not going to stay on a mailing list. You decide if you like it, then we can talk turkey. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a great day.